That nearly 8,000 police officers have been suspended, reportedly on suspicion of having links to the coup attempt at the weekend. 6,000 members of the judiciary and the military, including generals, have been detained. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has vowed to purge state bodies of the virus that caused the revolt. The BBC's Jeremy Bowen is in Istanbul and he joins us now. Jeremy, what is the mood there at the moment?
Well, Istanbul itself looks very normal. Normal life has more than restarted. I've been sitting in a traffic jam for at least an hour, which is a very classic Istanbul experience. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of activity. The arrests are going on, as you've said, a massive purge of the military, of the judiciary, of regional government, of the civil service, really root and branch, thousands of people in custody. And as well as that, I think there's a lot of nervousness about the future. Where does this country go? Because don't forget that before the attempted coup, Turkey was already in an enormous mess. Terrorist attacks from the so-called Islamic State and also from elements of the Kurdish separatist PKK. A lot of disunity at home because the President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is so controversial. A lot of people think he's a hero, a lot of people think he's a villain, not much in between. And now on top of this, they've got the fallout from the coup. So really it's a very, very difficult time.
And the opposition came together with the government in the immediate aftermath of the coup attempt over the weekend. They seemed united for the first time in a very long time. But is that unlikely to last if Erdogan really cracks down here?
Well, I think that what they decided was, and this is one of the reasons the coup failed actually, was it didn't have the support. Because while there's a lot of Turkey that does not like the Erdogan government at all, they dislike the thought of another military government even more. Turkey's had 4 coups, I think it is, or 3 coups and 1 soft coup since 1960, and people are well aware of what it's like to live under the military. Martial law, arbitrary arrest. There's been a lot of political violence as well in the past. So they were, united against this. They don't like the coup. But when it comes to the way that Erdogan wants Turkey to be, then it's another story. That is a very divisive issue.
Is he determined to reintroduce the death penalty, Jeremy?
He has been, in a sense, playing to the gallery because among his own supporters there is massive anger about what's happened. Supporters of his AK party went onto the streets and confronted soldiers, and several hundred were killed. So there is a lot of anger about that, and he said when surrounded by crowds chanting, "Bring back the death penalty," these people need to hang or be shot. He said, well, it's something we need to consider very much, and it's your right to ask for this. So he's hinting at it. Now, Turkey gave up the death penalty as part of its campaign to try and join the European Union, because the European Union doesn't permit its member states to use the death penalty. And so it would really be a sign as well of cocking a snoop at European ideas, European strictures, if he was to bring it back.
Thank you very much indeed, Jeremy Bowen of the BBC, joining us live this lunchtime from Istanbul. A minute's silence has been held across France to remember the 84 people murdered in Nice last Thursday night. Only 35 bodies have been officially identified so far. 85 people remain in hospital. 18 of them are in a critical condition after a lorry driven by Mohamed Lahouya Bouel, who's a Tunisian-born resident of France, ploughed into the crowds enjoying Bastille Day celebrations. There is no evidence to suggest that he was a jihadist. Family and neighbours described him as a violent loner who liked to drink, lift weights and go salsa dancing. But so-called Islamic State said he was one of their soldiers. We're joined now by Olivier Guita, who is Managing Director at the security firm Global Strat. Olivier, thank you very much indeed for joining us. IS have claimed him, but do you think it's likely that they had never heard of him before last week?
Yes, possibly. I think it was much more inspired rather than remotely controlled by IS. What I think is telling is how quickly he's been radicalized Today, police found on his phone numerous videos of beheadings and jihadist violence. So that's one of the things. And remember as well that Islamic State had made an effort of telling their followers to lay very low, to not appear religious. So that could be also one of the aspects that we will have to see. I mean, in even one of the audio tape that IS released not so long ago, they even told their followers to wear crosses, to not appear as Muslims as well.
There's a real debate in France over this because, as we've said, his family, his neighbours claimed he wasn't religious in any way. He was an alcoholic. He was violent. He suffered from severe depression. Do you think was Francois Hollande too quick in being so definitive just hours after the attack that France was under threat again from Islamic terrorism?
Not really, because, the facts are proving him right time and again. I mean, Islamic State has never claimed responsibility for an attack that it wasn't one way or another involved in. So that's one. The second is, the whole idea of deranged people going on rampage and killing people with a lorry are ludicrous. When you look at the past 10 years or 15 years, when did such an incident happen in France of somebody that was just deranged, that would go on and kill and follow exactly the modus operandi that Islamic State had called for the past 2 years?
So if people like him then, with all of those problems, if they're ripe for recruitment by Islamic State, does that have profound implications for how France and other countries try to prevent future attacks? Exactly.
You're putting the finger where exactly the nightmare of security services is coming to fruition. I mean, as of now, we never had a case of somebody that was not on the radar of security services, whether in the UK or France or the US. They were all at one point or another listed as potential terrorists. This is a brand new case that makes it even more difficult, if you will, for security services to even start tracking those kind of people.
So how do they do it, Olivier, if we consider the report from the intelligence or from the parliamentary committee that examined the Bataclan attacks? Already the intelligence services and the authorities were being criticised for their lack of knowledge about these attacks. How will they manage now?
They will have to go back to the basics, which means getting human intelligence, because we know from the 6 people that were arrested since the attack in Nice, some of them were aware of the fact that he had been radicalized in the past few weeks and that he had spoken about Islamic State. Why didn't these people come forward to the authorities? And that's the main question. We, in the West, would need to get as much as possible informers to penetrate as much as possible terror cells like we did in the 2000s.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us this lunchtime. Olivier Guita there, who is Managing Director with the security firm Global Strat.